From brick and mortar to click and order. If your customers can't see your food and order it quickly online, they are going to bounce. In other words, they're going to leave and go buy from somebody else. We're talking about what goes into creating a high converting digital menu on the Restaurant Growth Show. It's Halloween weekend. We're getting a little spooky in here. We got cowboys, we got soccer players, we got whatever the hell I am. This is episode 8.
Man.
Let's go. It's Gordon, and this is the Restaurant Growth Show, where we talk about how operators can use technology to grow their business. We've got a lot to talk about in this episode, but first, let's introduce our guests. First, we have Jose Albas, co-founder and chief growth officer at Moduurn. With more than 25 years of online marketing experience, Jose has successfully founded and operated companies in software and hospitality. Next, we have Alex Cook, VP of Sales and also a co-founder at Moduurn. Alex's experience in the hospitality industry spans 30 years, including 16 years selling restaurant POS solutions throughout North America. Lastly, who am I? My name is Gordon. I'm some kind of weird werewolf. I am your host as well. I run a digital marketing coaching program called 90 Days to Success, where I teach restaurateurs how to sell their food online. Gentlemen, how are we doing this fine Halloween?
Getting excited. A couple more days and the little kids will come to the door, bonfires, fireworks.
Looking forward to
and my favorite, leftover candy.
Spookiness. I'm spooky.
Alex, do you get a lot of trick-or-treaters in your neighborhood? I bet you do.
We do, yeah. It's exciting.
Let's get it started. Alex, I'm going to ask you to start this off here. Digital menus can kind of sound a little bit fancy, but what are we talking about here? We're talking about a restaurant's menu just put online, right? So why are high-resolution images so important to a digital menu?
Let's look at it this way. Like, think about your customers and your guests. Your guests eat with their eyes. What does that mean? Well, it's the image that you show on your online ordering platform is a reflection of the quality of the product you put out. So if you put a low res, sort of bad lighting picture of your food, it's not going to be as appetizing as something that is professionally taken as a photograph, high resolution. It's got the right background, it's got the right color content and the contrast, and it pops. So the quality of the images are extremely important. Imagine watching a commercial on TV from McDonald's from 40 years ago, kind of grainy, and it doesn't show the product nearly as well as something today with the digital format that we have with all the technology improvements in photography. And anybody can be a photographer now. You can get amazing quality pictures just from your iPhone or your Samsung, but you can also get those photo boxes that will do a professional, fully transparent white label background for your items.
So what you're saying basically is we don't need to hire a $100 an hour professional photographer to come in and take photos of all of my menu items that are obviously changing on a regular basis. I'm trying out new dishes. I've got different ingredients all the time. Is it good enough to simply snap a shot with your iPhone as the food's going out the door?
It can be. It really depends on, how creative you are as a photographer. If you have, and again, the right background, you've got the right camera, you got to make sure you have the shadows are in the right place, or even better, there is no shadows. It is certainly better if you can afford it to hire a professional photographer. And then as the food items come out, they just take a picture and then you upload it as you get new images in your database.
So is it easy to upload images to a digital menu?
It's as easy as uploading an image to any social media site.
Just a couple of clicks. Right, exactly. Yes. Okay, so that's really interesting. And I think that a lot of operators misjudge or underestimate the value of adding images to all of their menu items, especially online when they're concerned with physical menus, maybe in the restaurant. But are you saying that you can increase conversions by having good quality images on your menu?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, imagine I go to a restaurant and I'm not familiar with their food, and it could be an ethnic restaurant, and let's just take something like Indian food or even pho, or it could be sushi, but I'm not familiar with those particular items. So an image gives me an idea of what I can expect. So it's if it's appetizing, it looks delicious, I'm going to be more inclined to order that particular item instead of going to the tried and true what I know is a safe bet. It allows me to explore other options and be a little more adventurous in my food choices.
Jose, is it reasonable to use a stock image on a digital menu?
As an option from nothing, definitely would help, right? And if you can get it closer to what the restaurant prepares, even better. But ideally, you want to actually present what your kitchen produces, even if it's like touched and perfected and with the lighting and everything, just making it more appetizing, even better. But you want to be true to what you create, and most importantly, those little pieces that are part of the branding, like even if you have like a particular type of dish, or a plate or something, it will help a lot as well, because you're building expectations, and then when you get there, you want to fulfill that expectation. So it helps with the experience. It brands literally in the memory a better experience that it relates to the restaurant, and therefore when you see it again, you're like, wow, I remember all of that.
Alex, what makes a great menu item description?
Great question. So let's start with what makes a poor item description. And let's just say you have ham and cheese pizza, or even a Hawaiian pizza. We all know Hawaiian pizza, and you just say ham and pineapple. There's not very many appetizing descriptions there. So I typed in, how would you describe the taste of pizza? Just as an exercise. And this is what came up. And tell me what this sounds like. It tastes like bread, tomato, and cheese. Chewy, moist, slightly acidic, and sharp. Then once you apply toppings, that changes it. Ham and pineapple adds salty, sweet, and juicy. And pepperoni adds a meatiness and spice. Which one would you rather order? The ham and pineapple, or something that actually gives you a mouthwatering description and guides you to that particular item because it sounds more interesting?
Obviously, I'm going with the latter. I mean, as a werewolf, I'm going to eat pretty much anything, but if I'm a regular customer on the internet and I'm hungry, I want that description to tell me what it is in a creative way that's going to get my mouth watering.
Well, let me just add one more. So this is one that was interesting. It was an exercise I was doing with one of our employees that builds menus, and we were talking about descriptions. And in this case here, it's a beef and mushroom pizza. And the client didn't have the ability, didn't have the time to really think about all these mouthwatering descriptions, but there were a few cues that we could take from their website. So we did add a few things to make it a little more interesting as we look at it. So now it says beef and mushroom pizza, add sides to make it a delicious meal, right? So now we add some choices to the menu. And then we follow with a link from their website, the House of Deep Dish Square Pizza and the best in town. All fresh ingredients, freshly made with no additives and no preservatives. Which one sounds better, beef and mushroom or the latter? So that tells me that it gives me information about the products that you're putting into your food items, your menu items, and it makes it much more appetizing for me. And when I make my choice, I'm more excited. My mouth's already watering right now, and I haven't had lunch, so there's a good reason why.
Absolutely. And when you couple the high quality image along with a creative, mouth-watering, tempting description of the ingredients, I'm much more likely to click on that and add that to my cart and check out.
I think it also is a reflection of your company as well, because it tells me as a customer, you're taking the time to make my items interesting for the guest, right? My product, my menu items. And it's not just, I don't want to say it, but it's not a lazy way of describing your product. You put a lot more thought and creativity into it.
It rounds out the brand as well. Jose touched on this earlier. This is an extension of your brand, right? Taking that time to write out a detailed description of the food is much more likely to convert into a sale online as opposed to just somebody who abandons their cart. Jose, what ultimately is the goal of optimizing the digital menu?
So the whole point of optimizing a menu is so that you can offer in the fastest, easiest way to your guests the best experience possible, while at the same time, and that usually goes together, it translates into more sales and more repeat customers, which at the end is also part of the optimization goal. Yeah. So when you choose the specific or the most popular items to the top, and when you add these beautiful images and sizzling descriptions, you're giving a full experience that will bring them for more, because it's a
I
great.
love that. I love that. Sizzling descriptions. And that's a great segue into the amount of items in a particular online menu. I've heard sometimes less is more. Jose, what are the advantages of a smaller menu?
Well, the smaller menus, a lot of the times, come with the type of cuisine, right? When it displays a very specific quality focus from the restaurant in creating these 7-12 items. It makes it easy to manage, and it makes it more effective when you're ordering. There's only certain options and stuff, and people know what they're going for. There is this 7, but at the same time, when you think about what is the perfect number, it just depends on the market, the segment, the type of cuisine, and what the restaurateur is trying to achieve.
Alex, let me ask you a question here. Should I have 50, 60, 70 items on my digital menu? Or are there some drawbacks to that?
Well, in today's world, I think smaller menu is the way to go. And the reason why is that when you have an extremely large menu, you have there's a lot of items to learn as a cook. And if we're running into a labor shortage, then you're constantly training people on 50, 60, 70 different recipes and also cooking techniques on how to do that and do it well. What I'd like to do with well, actually, I'll use an example with a lot of pizza places. So traditionally, we saw a lot of 2-for-1s and mix and match and half and combos and all these things. What I'm doing with clients is trying to encourage them to remove those options. So if you want to have a half and half pizza, again, it gets complicated for the customer because they get to the freedom, or ideally you want to limit the amount that they can make and modify items, and you want to be able to modify the item by as much or as little as you as a restaurateur want to allow them to. And you have that power with online ordering. But you also want to reduce the menu size so it's easier on the kitchen and it's easier on the customer, fewer mistakes, easier to process the order and easier to cook in the kitchen, and less training time when you do get a new cook.
Plus, those customers are they're hungry, and if you've got too many choices, it's an overload, and they're not thinking straight. If I'm really hungry and I'm searching through 30, 40, 50 different additions and sauces and half and halves and all of these kinds of things, I may just end up clicking elsewhere and going to a third-party delivery app and getting something, boom, really, really quick.
Well, if you think of pizza, like those are those kind of menus have been around for a long time, 20, 30, sometimes 40 years. And it was a way to stand out from the competition. Oh, we got 2-for-1s. Now we got 3-for-1s, and we got half and half. Or you can do quarters if you wanted to. Well, things have changed so much in the last few years. Those don't make as much sense now. Where you're right, people want to order, they want to do it quickly. They don't want to have to go through a whole bunch of different clicks, or sometimes the platforms get so complicated, it's not actually feasible or easy enough to understand how to get through the process to choose all these different options just to get the end of the order to get it complete. So something else to consider, something else to think about.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that just creates a lot of noise. It's even harder to maneuver. Like if you just blasted, like if it was, and this takes us to a previous show we had where we were talking about if you just put the menu and think about it as if it was a printed menu, which basically means not optimized, not dynamic, not without images, etc., then you're really missing out on the opportunity of maximizing what the menu can do for the user, your business, and your kitchen. And that combination usually plays well for everyone, fun enough. So having a good system that allows you to optimize that decent but not excessive size menu, where you can identify and offer those things that are the most popular, it's just going to be for the best experience for everyone, all the way from the user to the kitchen.
I'm glad you said that because you mentioned pricing in there, Jose. And is there a particular pricing strategy that works best online for restaurant menus?
Well, there's a lot of options. Technology allows for multiple things, but I can say that one of the things that I see that restaurants like, that they enjoy, and the users too. I was in a meeting yesterday, and I was sharing a couple of stories about this, and people were getting excited about, was related to programming your combos or discounts or happy hours automatically through technology, so that when it's outside of the hours that you want to offer it or expose it or whatever, it disappears or it changes price. So to have that dynamic power can be really a huge advantage for restaurants.
Alex, let me ask you as well: is have you seen a particular pricing strategy that works well for a specific cuisine or a type of QSR or fine dining?
I would say a pricing strategy. I would say a placement strategy. So prices are changing every week. So it's hard for me to even keep up with them. I don't even know what the price of a hamburger is these days. But let's take a look at the placement of the orders and the items. So categories. If you take a look at your categories traditionally, if you looked at a regular menu, a traditional menu, you start on the left-hand side with appetizers, then you move into soup and sandwiches, then you move into entrees, and then eventually you get to desserts and beverages and everything. But the landscape of online ordering is quite a bit different because we scroll from top to bottom. So in this case here, you want to guide your customers to your best-selling, highest profit margined categories. So let's say hamburgers is the number one item that you sell, but also the best profit. Then once you get into the category, you also want to do the same thing with your best-selling, highest profit margin items. So traditionally, if you remember menus, quite often they would highlight right in the middle and they would be bolded. Those are the items they're trying to guide you to purchase because they are their best-selling, highest profit margin items, right? Those are the ones that they're traditionally through pen and paper or a menu board, they have a way to highlight that. This is a way that we can do that through digital technology, guiding the customer through. If pop is a great profit margin, you may actually have pop included as an add-on for every item as you finish your order. Just so a lot of it is just menu placement.
Correct. And most importantly, when we're talking about mobile, where the nature of the technology is lack of time, lack of space. So I need to make a decision. I want to make a decision quickly, and there's only so much space on what you can fit inside the space of a phone. So then this becomes even more important, and it's even a bigger opportunity where you actually can dynamically and very quickly update the order and reorganize as things may change or as may you need. But it is very important to actually have that priority to those highest profit, most popular. They usually go together, and those, so that people go try and find really quickly what they want.
Let me ask the both of you, what companies are doing really well and what is it that they're doing is driving their sales?
It's not a surprise. But it is amazing at the same time, is that a lot of it's related to technology. It's related to availability or accessibility. Like in technology, we would say, can I get there? Or how easy is for me to actually place an order with a particular brand? Those brands that have added, for example, types of servicing, type of delivering, pickup, drive-through, table service, those brands and the ones that focus and do a focused effort on taking advantage of the technology are the ones that keep popping up in the news, in my feeds. It's like Chipotle 6% because of table service, or Nando's was it, and then you see that in the Chipotle chains, those that have drive-through are way better performers than those that don't. So what is the difference? What if you added on top of that a curbside pickup? What if you added on top of that something else? So this, as I usually, with our merchants, I usually call it like, imagine that it's your locale and you actually are putting multiple doors where people can come in and order food, or come in and eat. So similarly, but in a virtual world, you're giving them access, ways off that it may just be what they need to place an order with you.
Well, I think that what we're starting to see is a slowdown in the economy. So as the inflation is skyrocketed right now, people are now, as summer has ended, starting to respond. So we're seeing fewer people dining out as they're trying to save a little bit of money. Average checks, uniquely enough, are still quite high. So they're not maybe going out as much, but they're still spending a fair amount when they do go out. But those on the online ordering side, because there's takeout. So this is perhaps if you're more casual fine dining, is creating a menu that also appeals to takeout. You may have a number of items that fit that category, right?
I think that on that same note, I mean, there is the capacity to adapt to whatever's happening, right? So if it's a big multi-location chain and a particular neighborhood is not a high-income suburban, but something else, then those prices should be different, and so that they reach the profit that they want. The power of the dynamic pricing and the power of what technology can help is that those changes can be done instantly, and that they can be even through algorithms modify themselves as something happens. A huge advantage in comparison to how we with the traditional menu, another one is that if you get to the restaurant and you see that the menu is new, like clean, like it was like just came out, you right away get suspicious, like I wonder if the pricing went up, as opposed to
actually I never had that. I never actually
I don't
thought
think
about
that.
that, but now
I think
that
they're
you
taking
mention
care of their
it,
cleanliness of the
I'm
restaurant.
concerned that fresh menus mean price increases.
fresh
Thanks for that.
freshly printed, with all the colors still just bumping, and then when you think about that like a recession, like I was saying, we have ways of supporting the sales through coupons and things, and there's ways of balancing that game so that it is affordable, enticing, to bring people in. And as we know, especially with online and technology, because nobody's watching, nobody's judging, they're most likely to add to the average check. So technology is here to stay. Take advantage of it. Those are the continually winners in every brand that I hear everything that's happening when they report. And the beauty, like we always say in this show, is that the technology of the bigger brands is available to the small single operation, because that's the nature of it.
And it's important, these big brands are leveraging the technology, but it's important for the mid-sized level organizations and even the mom and pop shops to make sure that their fundamentals are covered. And those fundamentals are getting nice images for each menu item, making sure they've got a sizzling menu description, as Jose put so well. You guys, this has been a super valuable conversation. We know creating a high converting digital menu takes compelling menu descriptions, high resolution images, and a pricing strategy. These are just some of the fundamental tools that are essential to growing a restaurant. I hope you learned something new. I know I did. I'd like to thank Jose and Alex once again for their insight. Thank you, gentlemen. Until next week, my name is Gordon, and this is the Restaurant Growth Show. I'm out.
Gold! Gold!
See you guys.